righty then.
Let's look at the rankings. Now, it's really bad when you don't spell your own rankings correctly. Somehow I got Stealing and not Sterling up there. But okay, all right. Let's look at the net point rankings as of November 24th, 2020. Again, these are averages. These are not gross numbers. I was hoping to get back to gross numbers, Ben. I like the larger numbers. It really kind of stands out. I thought we were past the bye because this coming weekend, everybody's playing. But then next weekend, you got like 2 teams on a bye.
That is correct.
So it kind of screwed me up. So I have to stick with the averages a little bit longer. We probably won't go to gross numbers to like game 16 practically, week 16, week 17. In any event, congratulations, Pittsburgh Steelers, #1 spot. It's really funny. As I'm looking at some of the other networks and stuff, and everybody's putting their rankings out there, and they put Kansas City #1 because in their mind, that's where they belong. And that's their built-in bias. We don't have that because it's straight net points. So Kansas City coming in at 10.7. Kansas City has actually not been scoring I don't think their scoring is as high as it was last year. They look a little more muted and in control in what they're doing. Or maybe, Mahomes is looking a little more human. They're still excellent, no doubt about it. New Orleans bringing in 3rd place, tied with Baltimore at 7.3. That's an interesting perspective to see that they're both winning at exactly the same amount. On average, 1 touchdown per game. Baltimore is dropping though. They're moving down. They're probably only in the top 5 because they were so strong early on. Indianapolis is that team that I think people are calling the sleeper potentially. Coming in at number 5. Miami. What's going on with Miami, Benny? You text me, they're like, Fitzpatrick's in.
Yeah, I didn't realize. I thought that I saw Tua go down with an injury. In fact, he was not injured. He got a little banged around a little bit. He was not injured, but he was playing extremely poorly. And, had let the young man take a seat.
That's an interesting situation. And so again, even when we were talking about the bias, they were favored. Who thought that Tua was going to all of a sudden start to play more poorly? We know the phases that anybody goes through, especially quarterbacks, where they first come in and there's no tape and they're getting away and they're doing things. And then next thing you know, tape gets on them and things tighten up a little bit, as defenses make better adjustments. So again, going into the 4th quarter, defenses are making some adjustments. Speaking of Tampa Bay, I don't know what's up with Tom Terrific, but I do know that Leonard Fournette sold them out at least 3 times on drop passes.
I mean, I could go. I try not to decide until a little past mid-season who I think is a pretender and who I think is a contender. I have been very skeptical every time I turn on the television and hear people say so-and-so is playing Tampa Bay and their great defense. I may have even said a couple of weeks ago, I remember distinctly a gentleman saying their DBs are all under 24 years old. They're all over 6 feet tall. They all run 4.4 or better. And that's what makes them great. But guess what? That's not what makes you great. What makes you great is experience. Okay. And they don't have it. And they're getting hurt by it. Physically, on paper, they look wonderful. Everybody would say, oh, I wish I had a secondary that looked like this. But when you get them on the field, they're susceptible to making the same mistakes that other rookie and 1st and 2nd year players make.
Well, Tampa Bay is coming in 10th in points allowed, giving up an even 23 a game. So that's not bad. One of the things I noticed in that game, and I posted it, was that I did not think Tampa Bay had seen an offense that ran as efficiently as the Rams do. The Rams is clicking. You know, they're not big time necessarily, but they're very efficient. They move the ball. You know, Goff gets out. The pass is out quickly. Their receivers catch the ball. They will run the ball at you. So they're pretty efficient. They get first downs. You know, and I saw Brady going deep multiple times. When again, I'm thinking, you know, get the first down. You know, become a little more efficient. I don't know if that's if that's a result of coaching. I understand, you know, you even mentioned the no risk it, no biscuit mentality of Tampa Bay's, you know, coaching. But Brady always distributed the ball, got it out quickly, and used, you know, a lot of his shorter receivers. That's why I think even AB kind of worked out a little bit for him, because he can throw the ball short to AB, and you know, they kind of working that in. But a couple times I just didn't think it was necessary to be trying to hit them long. You know, he had an opportunity to move the ball. So it's going to be interesting watching Tampa Bay. And the LA Rams right behind them at 5.1 net points per game. Green Bay's coming in at an even 5. Your receiver, Devontae.
Yes.
Is he healthy?
Absolutely.
Okay. Arizona coming in right behind Green Bay. Seattle right behind Arizona. So again, as you can see, why Arizona would have been favored even with the loss to to Seattle. Net point wise, they're still ahead of the game on them. That's how well they were doing. So that's an interesting loss. And again, that was a division game. Tennessee coming in at a +2 net points. So Tennessee, good record, everything, but not exactly, you know, smashing, you know, not exactly really running over people, kind of settling in a little bit. Vegas has had to play the Chiefs twice. 1-1 lost the last one. They're coming in at a net point of 1. Buffalo at 0.7, and my Niners hanging on to the last positive place on the chart at number 15 at 0.4. So I'm going to mention again that the net point analysis, your net points will be both positive and negative. If you're constantly losing, you're losing by margins, and that's what you're showing in the right-hand column, starting with the LA Chargers at -1.3, and then going through from Minnesota down to the Jets. As you can see, the Jets in last place at a -15.3. So they're losing by an average of just over a little two touchdowns. And so these are the teams on your right that have the big questions. As Ben said, what did you say about a week ago? I don't think you'll see any of these guys in the Super Bowl.
What, from 17 down?
Yeah.
No, not going to happen.
So right there, if you follow the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings, you kind of know who your contenders are. And we'll tell you that number 1 doesn't always win the Super Bowl. Number 2 doesn't always win the Super Bowl. Matter of fact, I think you might have more number 7s that win the Super Bowl. I have to go back and do a little more study on that. But that top 10 is something to really be aware of, and then, you know, gives you some idea as who's going where. I haven't seen compared rather the Vegas odds of these teams actually making the Super Bowl. Maybe next week I can have a few numbers put together just to kind of see how that might line up with the net point power rankings. All right, Benny, any last words on this?
Just to say that there's still going to be plenty of fluctuation. There's 6-7 games left. There's teams that are not in the top 10 right now that will, or I believe, have a good chance of getting in the top 10 before this is all over. And there's some teams in the top 10 that will not be there when this is all over. What we're looking at right now could look completely different in a week or two. So I think that's great. I think that our rankings better reflect the strength of the teams where they are right now. And, as usual, no opinion, no conjecture. So this is what it is. People that have Kansas City as their number one team, I mean, that's all well and good, but there's a lot of conjecture mixed in there. Pittsburgh's undefeated. Pittsburgh has a stellar defense, Kansas City does not. Pittsburgh has a wide receiver core that's outstanding right now. Kansas City does not. So, yeah, they're winning. Yeah, they look great. Yeah, everybody loves Patty Mahomes, but I think these rankings better reflect what's going on right now. And again, there will be some movement.
I wanted to quickly point out a couple teams that we talked about last week when we were looking at some of the internal workings of the net point power rankings. And I'm talking about the disparity between the scoring points for and the defense points against, and the teams that have the greatest disparity. And what I mean by that is this. Green Bay, for example, is third in scoring, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they're 17th on defense.
Correct.
So in terms of ranking, that's a 14 ranking difference between their offense and their defense. A decent sized disparity. The Seattle Seahawks are second on offense. They're 28th on defense, which gives them a 26 ranking disparity. So those are two of the teams when you're saying things could turn around. Again, what was hurting the Seattle was their defense. All of a sudden they found a rush. The guy's name is escaping me, and then they brought back the safety that joined them from the Jets. And I believe just those two components really added something to their defense. Now, maybe Kyler wasn't quite right, and that played into it a little bit too. Some of that, didn't help them. But I think that their defense played a lot better. So I would keep an eye on that. Vegas has a 19th place disparity between their 8th place ranking on offense and their 25th, 26th ranking on defense. So some of these teams really are still a bit out of balance in terms of their offense and their defense. You mentioned Kansas City, for example, first on offense and 7th on defense. So they can tighten up a little bit. They can, they're going to need to do that to contend. Pittsburgh, the number one team, is 4th offensively and number 1 defensively, ending in this past weekend. They're only giving up 17.4 points per game defensively, Pittsburgh. So if defense wins championships, keep an eye on them guys for sure. All right.